Outside of Futurama, this is the one time you can eat a mummy and not get in trouble. Mummy dogs, sedan. Hey look, recipes. Now, this recipe is kind of an odd one as it is very simple, but I don't seem to have any history on it. I do know that it has appeared at least since 2000 because it appears in this book right here. In fact, let's see if I can pull it up. Should be one of the first ones. Yes. Like so. This one is in 2013, so they were at least going around for that long. People might still be making them now. I certainly hope so, because they are exceedingly easy to make. So much so that there have been multiple variations. As you can see with this one, after they are baked, you add dots of mustard and poppy seeds for the eyes, if you have hands that steady. Now in this recipe, you split them in the middle and add cheese to them, and sprinkle them with salt. Not that you really need more salt in this recipe. I've also seen variations using bacon. Although, if you do the bacon variation, just stick with the bacon or the rolls. Don't do both together. It won't turn out well. On the subject of variation, yes, I'm using chicken franks, but you can use beef franks, cheese-filled hot dogs, basically any sausage that is already pre-cooked and doesn't require cooking. Now, know that I all say to heat thoroughly. Some people do, some people don't. But basically, any sort of hot dog or well-cooked sausage is going to work for this recipe. Now, on the subject of the breading itself, usually you're going to find either biscuits or these crescent rolls. Typically, people use crescent rolls these days. The older recipes said to use breadstick dough, but I have a hard time finding that. You could easily use a phyllo dough if you're feeling fancy, but fancy doesn't always equal fun. To begin this recipe, we need to preheat our oven to 375 degrees. Yes, I'll have the Celsius somewhere in the subtitles here. So once we get that going, we can begin construction. Now, one thing that they don't mention, but I find helps, is to dry off your hot dogs first, because a dry hot dog tends to cling to the dough a lot better than a wet one. Now for what is the perhaps most time-consuming and difficult part of this recipe, turning crescent dough into a solid sheet of dough. Now I do this partially by folding this out, like so. You are going to want to make as few seams as possible here. And on this part you probably don't have to worry about it too much because you're going to have to divide them up anyway. But when it comes to this part, you are, and the perforations on the sides, well, on this part right here, you are going to have to deal with that. For that, you're going to need a rolling pin. Just do everything you can to get as many of those perforations out of the dough as possible. Yes, this seems like a weird step. But hey, you're making mummies out of hot dogs. Gotta expect a little bit of weird here. Okay, we got that done. Not perfect, but this is a situation where perfection isn't necessary. These are going to be wrapped up in hot dogs and baked, so going to be a little bit of mess is actually going to be a bit better for the presentation. Anyway, we then cut these into strips, which is why we needed them whole like this. Yes, it's weird. Yes, I know it's tedious, but this is the most time-intensive part of it. I think you can spare it, especially if you're doing this for your kids. The next step, as you can probably guess, is to take these strips and then wrap it around your hot dog. It's okay if there's seams aren't perfect. That is, after all, part of the way they make it look like a mummy, after all. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you want, you can either, with a knife or with a toothpick, make little slits for eyes, which will open up when they cook. Hopefully. One thing I will note here is that it will take at least 3 of these strips, not 2, to cover these things properly, depending on how much coverage you actually want. Now, the end result may look a little odd and misshapen, but if you're familiar with Egyptian history, or the history of the Habsburgs, that's actually historically accurate. And that's all we're going to say about that one. Alrighty, with everybody ready and the oven preset, we will go 15 to 18 minutes for these little dogs and see where we are from there. Now obviously, hot dogs on their own can be a little unexciting, even if they are wrapped in dough, so condiments definitely help. Here we have, from actually another cookbook, the Hero's Feast, the Dwarven Mustard, equal parts sour cream and stone-ground mustard. Just rename it Mummy Mustard, and you're good to go. Or, if you're feeling saucy and spicy, chili sauce instead of ketchup. Or, for something even better, some nice chili to dip them in. The choice is yours. Now, some of you might be asking, if I serve this on Halloween, what should I serve alongside it? Because let's face it, otherwise you're going to be eating ungodly amounts of candy. I did it, your kids are going to do it, their grandkids are going to do it. So what can you have to help mitigate the salt and fat bomb that you're going to be that your child will be consuming? Well, since it's fall season, some nice pears, apple slices, in fact a cup of apple cider with a little bit of cinnamon in it is always a lovely idea, especially if it's warm. You could even, if your child is so inclined, serve some vegetables with it, although the chances of them eating them are unlikely. Any potato chip, especially a spicy one, would also be quite recommended. There are ideas out there, but don't just let your child eat these hot dogs alone. Alrighty, 18 minutes later, everything is golden brown, and my little eye trick didn't need work. One of them didn't turn around here, but you can still see the eyes, like so. So, that's another variation you can have, if you want it. Now, given how simple these are, anyone can make them. If you have a child do it with your supervision. And if you're an adult, well, you can just do whatever you want, so long as it's safe. Anyway, these have been the Mummy Dogs, and I bid you all good night and happy Halloween.